Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video what I want to do is I want to introduce you to LibGDX because I'm going to be making a little mini tutorial series on how to develop games for Android with Android Studio, and this is the framework that we're going to be using. It's actually a game development framework, and to understand why we even need to download this and use it, we need to remember that even for making a really basic game, there's a lot that goes into it. For example, even, I don't know, just look at this thing right here. You have to add the functionality, to add the character to the screen. You probably have some physics in there. You probably have some collision detection if he bumps into stuff, maybe some audio. So this looks like the most basic game ever, but even a really simple game has a lot of different pieces to it. Now, what this framework is essentially a tool that packages all the libraries, all the stuff together, and it also takes care of a lot of the back-end stuff, the complex stuff, so we don't have to worry about it. So that's why we need this. That's what it's going to do, and let me show you guys how to get started. So go to either this URL or type the libgdx into Google. The URL might change, but it'll always be the first one that pops up, and click download. Now we want to choose download setup app, and whenever we do it, it's going to give us a jar file. We want to keep it, we trust it, and when we double click it, check it out, it's going to give us this right here. Now this is essentially a jar file that's going to help us set up our project. Now the first time we set up a project, it's going to take some time because it needs to download a bunch of different files and kind of like set everything up with Android Studio. But after that, it's going to be really fast. So again, make sure that we get this right. So the first thing, the name is just the name of your game, the name of your project. I'm just going to name mine Bucky Blaster because that sounds sweet. Now the package, of course, we learned whenever we were just making regular apps. It's your website in reverse domain notation. So mine is the New Boston dot Bucky Blaster. Now the game class is just the name of the class, of course. We can just leave that at default. The destination is where do you want this project or your game to just be stored. And I'm just gonna store mine where I put all of my desktop Android projects, and I already made a folder, and this is just an empty folder. Let me show you guys this. So what I did already before, desktop Android projects, see, this is the folder I made. It's just a blank folder, nothing in it, and this is just where I want to on my computer save the project. So I'm going to browse to that again. Where was it? Desktop Android projects, and in this folder right here, and the last thing you need to give it is your Android SDK URL, because it's going to use your Android SDK pretty much to set everything up behind the scenes. So how do you get that? The easiest way is this. If you open up Android Studio and you go to configure, from here you can go to project defaults, project structure, and this pops up the URL. So copy this. The first one is the one you need, the Android SDK. Control C. The bottom one is the JDK. We don't need to worry about that. And also back out of here. But anyways, once we have the URL for that, we can paste it right there. Now, under here, subprojects. With this, what you can do is you can actually develop cross-platform. So you can write your code and you can run this game on desktop or iOS for like iPhones, iPads, even just web games, but I only want to concentrate on making Android games in this little mini series. The extensions, these are just the different pieces I was talking to you guys about, some of them, but for right now, I want to keep things really simple. So if you click generate, and you have to agree, it's saying, warning, different version, just click yes, you're going to have another one, yes, and I thought there would be one more, but I guess that's it. Now what's going to happen is it's going to start pretty much building your project for you, and again, the very first time it's going to download a bunch of stuff that you need, and it may take a few seconds, but once you're done, it's going to give you this little indicator right here, build successful, done, and some instructions on how to get started opening your project. So what I want to do is show you guys that. So from here, now that everything is essentially set up for us, if we go to import non-Android Studio project, then we can navigate to wherever we told it to be saved. And mine was in my desktop, Android projects. And remember, I put everything in a folder called Bucky Blaster. So I'm just going to click OK. And it's going to pretty much open it in Android Studio. Now again, this is going to take some time, so I'm going to pause my screen recorder and I'm going to come back in a few minutes. Alright, so once it's done setting everything up, what it's going to do is essentially build you a very simple default basic project. And if you run it, I actually already ran it because the emulator is slow and I didn't want to make you guys wait. You should get something like this, which is pretty much just a red screen, red background, and their little, I don't know if this is their logo, their little graphic in the bottom left. So if you see this, you are good to go, ready to move on to the next step. If you had any problems with anything, then please ask me in my forum. A lot of people are willing to help. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next video.